And welcome back. Serious subject today, and we're talking with Misha McK. And Misha, it's great to have you here. Thank you for taking time. You talked a little bit about the therapy that your organization offers. You want to just briefly touch on that, and then we can get into some of the signs and some of the reasons people think about taking their life.
Well, one program that we have that I absolutely love, it's our mental health awareness field trip workshops, ages K through 12. And they come to our facility, which right now it's called the Magnolia State Sunbeam House, right? Um, let's say when we open one in Alabama, it'll be called, the Cotton State Sunbeam House, the Garden State Sunbeam House. So they come to our house, and we talk. We talk about bullying. We talk about what they like about school, what they don't like about school. We talk about what's happening in their homes. And oftentimes it's peer to peer, empowerment. And that's what happens right now with young people. They have to feel like they have a self-worth, that there's a reason for them being here, right? So right now we've got the bullying issue going on. And we have an anti-bullying program called Ambassadors Against Bullying, because bullying is big. It has young people as young as 6 years old, Bill, 6 years old, taking their own lives.
Yes, and well, let's talk about bullying because for kids in school, it's changed a lot, hasn't it? I mean, there was a time you may be bullied in school, but you always had the safe haven of coming home. Well, social media has really changed all that. There's no escape for these kids, but 6 years old, that can never happen, and we're seeing that more and more. So expound on that a little bit. That's what's going on. How do you combat that? How do you fix that?
Well, like I was saying, our Ambassadors Against Bullying program into the schools. You have to start, Bill, when they're in elementary school. Okay, it really starts there. And in elementary school, there are advocates against bullying. So we do little, vignettes. We have a conversation. What does it feel good if someone pushes you? We do like reenactments, very important, to give examples when they're that young. Middle school, they become diplomats against bullying. And then in high school, they're ambassadors, where we literally have a youth board. All right. And this bullying gets dealt with, right? Because right now, the bullies have no consequences. So many times when the victim tries to defend themselves, both of them get sent to in-school suspension. Wrong. That's not how it's supposed to go. There was a girl in North Carolina. Her name was Sierra. About 3 years ago, took her own life. I think she was like 16 years old. And also another thing too with young people in North Carolina has a huge problem with obesity, with young people not getting the proper nutrition, with young people not knowing how to read. My mom taught elementary school for 42 years, and after school, she taught second grade remedial reading. Very important. You have students, a huge number of students, I would say like 75%, I think the research quoted, where you've got kids who are in third grade in North Carolina who do not know how to read. So that is, that takes a big toll on them, as well as proper nutrition, getting good food, and so that's very important. That has a lot to do with, the brain functioning and developing properly.
Well, yeah, I mean, you speak the truth. A good school is 56% knowing how to read, and that's considered a go-to school. It's a shame. And it's interesting you bring that up, that because you can see that in an individual who doesn't know how to read, they can't do schoolwork, it does take away their self-worth and what they feel they can and cannot accomplish.
Goes way down.
Yeah, I mean, it really is sad that we allow that to continue, but we unfortunately do. Emotional stability, you mentioned food, but what other things contribute to, let's say, a young person even contemplating life isn't worth living?
Rejection. That's a very big deal. Loneliness. Then they suffer in silence. They feel like, when the teenagers and we're in between that adolescent age, they're looking for acceptance. So you get a lot of this whole, group thing, and you're not in the group and we don't like you. That's a lot of what's going on online as well. Oh, you're ugly, you're fat, you should kill yourself. This is what they're telling one another. And right now, we had a dean of a middle school say that today's parents are just roommates paying the bills. So what happens with all these teenagers and young people, they're listening to one another. Not like back in the day where your parents taught you right from wrong, right? Your parents, you knew your parents cared. They took care of you. We have kids today, Bill, who are working at 13 years old at McDonald's. I mean, supposed to be in school, you know? And so the arts and engaging the young people, that's been taken out of the schools, you know? I mean, when I was in fourth grade, I made pottery. I had a kiln. All that's out of the schools now.
Well, you're right. I mean, they don't even get out of the house. Most kids, they're stuck on the computers, their phones, and the social media, which is just
Yeah, it's a generation just teaching one another. No more parental guidance.
what do you do, Misha, to help them get through this? I mean, parents, I know parents who even care try to do something, and there doesn't seem to be really anything that can be done in school with the bullying. You get a lot of talk, and there's not much that happens. And then you can't control social media other than your child being on or off it. So what do you do?
Yeah, well, like I was saying, one thing is our program, which we just absolutely, it's been working. It's in the schools. Hopefully by 2026, we'll be able to have our Ambassadors Against Bullying program in every school in the United States. Hopefully it'll be adopted because it really works. You have to deal with the bully. And what's happening is that the teachers don't have time, right? Because they have to make sure the kids get past their tests. Parents don't have time because some parents are working 2 and 3 jobs. So that's basically one thing. Another thing to do is let's rely on one another. Statistics are one thing, Bill, but let's look at this as our neighbors, our friends, our family. These are the people that are hurting. No, don't look at it as people out there somewhere. It's your next door neighbor. So if we learn to care about one another, put compassion back in to our communities, right? Make that "Are you okay" call. That makes the world of difference. We also developed happy cards during COVID. So we hand out happy cards, which is a calling card that actually starts a conversation. So I can ask somebody how they feel, even if I'm in the grocery store. I might not know this lady or man, but guess what? I can still ask, "Are you okay?" Let's start to come together. Together we can make a difference.
That is so true. We're all brothers and sisters. We're supposed to treat each other as such. Misha, don't go anywhere. We have another segment to go on. I'd like to get into maybe some of the things that you can point out to our viewers, moms and dads, to some signs they ought to be looking for if they have someone they're worried about. So we're going to come back more with Misha McK. Stick around.